Hanukkah Sameach. My name is Moey Sutton from Brooklyn, New York, and in 2014 I moved to Israel. Now I live in Modi'in. Modi'in, of course, is well known as the hometown of Matityahu and his 5 sons who fought against the infamous decrees of Antiochus. They rededicated the temple and established the holiday of Hanukkah. And I want to talk to you a little bit more about the history and heritage of Modi'in and its connection to Hanukkah. So I'm standing now just outside of Modi'in in the Ayalon Valley. Behind me you can see the hills on the way to Jerusalem. Right next to us, this is the road that goes into Modi'in. And over there, that bridge holds the train which connects Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. The Modi'in is located about halfway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. It sits on the foothills that look down upon the coastal plain. And in ancient times, that coastal plain actually was part of an international route connecting lands in the north with Egypt to the south of Israel. And it was not uncommon for foreign armies and foreign kings to be traveling along that road. If there was ever some sort of military threat to Jerusalem, to the capital, typically it would come from the coast, and therefore someone living here in Modi'in would be perfectly positioned to notice suspicious activity coming from the coast and warn the capital, Jerusalem. This would typically be done using the bonfire signaling system. The people of Modi'in would go up to a hilltop, probably at night, and light a bonfire. The people in the next town on the way to Jerusalem, they would see that there's danger, and they would react by lighting their own bonfire. Then the next town would see it, they'd light a bonfire, and so on and so forth. A trail of bonfires all the way to Jerusalem until the people in Jerusalem would see that there's an impending threat and prepare for battle. This is actually symbolized here by the emblem of Modi'in. It's sort of an abstract representation of a mountain with a flame on top. And it also explains the name Modi'in. Lehodia means to notify, and Modi'in therefore are the notifiers, the ones who bore the responsibility of being first to warn and protect Jerusalem in case of a foreign threat. In the days of Antiochus, indeed Jerusalem was under a foreign threat, although of somewhat of a different kind. It was the threat of Hellenistic culture and the decree of Antiochus that banned Jewish practices. Now, the people who were in charge, the Jews in charge of Jerusalem at that time, the priests who controlled the temple, and especially the high priest Menelaus, they were actually supportive of Antiochus' Hellenizing agenda. They had been influenced and exposed to Hellenistic culture for already over 150 years, since the conquest of Alexander the Great, and they wanted to see their country become Hellenized, and they appreciated the economic, social, and political benefits that came along with it. If there was anyone in Jerusalem who wished to resist, to fight back, they really were in no position of power to do so. But out here in the countryside, in small towns like Modi'in, where Matityahu lived, a traditional way of life still persisted. They held on to the Torah as sacred, and seeing this, Matityahu, he looked around, he saw that the country needed a leader. B'makom she'en anashim tishtadel liot ish, and he saw that in Jerusalem, the capital, which typically provide the brave leaders of the country, they had none to provide. So he stood up to the plate. He himself raised the banner of revolt in Modi'in, and him and his sons after him, they led the traditional Jews to victory. They brought freedom back to their country, and most importantly, brought the values of Torah back to Jerusalem and to the temple. Now, the message we can learn from Matityahu, therefore, is if we ever find ourselves similarly in a dark and dire situation, we look around, we don't see any leaders. Our traditions, our values, our collective hopes and dreams are under attack. They're in danger of being neglected or forgotten or erased. When we need a leader, we need look no further than ourselves. Even if you may feel as just one lonely flame in a sea of darkness, remember, just like the light of Modi'in, the flame of Modi'in that was soon answered by another and another and another all the way to Jerusalem, or like the candles we light on Hanukkah. We start with just one on the first night, and it's answered by another and another and another. So too, your one little flame, if persistent, will soon be answered by another and another and another.